Hi everyone, and welcome to this one-shot called For Love and Music, written by yours truly, Stacey Holt and Piano M. Artwork was by Hchano. I'll leave all of their social media below. You should really check them out because their artwork is fantastic. Like I said earlier, this was a written collaboration by Piano M and myself, so don't forget to show her some love as well. I will also leave her link below as well, so go check her out. Speaking about links, I will also leave everyone that is collaborating within this chapter, which are Alya will be voiced by Ashtyn, Nino will be voiced by MerryMitch, Chloe will be voiced by Miss Donuts, Max will be voiced by TJ, Adrien will be voiced by Shane, Sabrina will be voiced by Iris, and Marinette will be voiced by Stacey. If you'd like to support the one-shot, you can like, subscribe, and comment. Now, For Love and Music, a written collab by M and Stacey. The excitement was coursing through his veins. This was what he waited all year long for. Not only that, but he was going over to his girlfriend's house. The ideas in his head were jumbled and scattered, but also vividly clear. All simultaneously as his creative musician's brain was rapidly firing pistons of melodies and love as he gathered his belongings to head toward Alya's place. Adrien asked him to put together a playlist for the end of the school year party that was going to be held at the Agrest mansion, and he wanted the music to be epic. Nino felt honored that his best friend asked him to do this task, because Adrien was a musician himself, and more than capable of doing the playlist without Nino. But Adrien insisted Nino was more creative when it came to a musical variety. Music put Nino in his element, and what better combination than his two loves, music and his girl. He smiled at the thought as he knocked on Alya's door.
Well, hey my dude,
he said as she motioned for him to step inside the house. He brushed a soft peck across her cheek as he passed her in the doorway, and her usual return of,
"Hello babe, long time no see,"
made him chuckle because they both knew they had seen one another at school less than half an hour ago.
"So, what are we doing again?"
she asked, grinning at his sweet romantic gesture.
a playlist for the party.
He replied. He then questioned her where they were going to go work on the project, and after showing him up to her bedroom, returned downstairs to the kitchen for snacks and drinks.
How did I get so lucky?
He thought to himself as he pulled out his gear and set it up on Alya's desk.
You'd think I was lucky as Ladybug or something, with such an amazing life and such an incredible girlfriend.
He pulled up the chair to the desk. Yeah, that's right. She's his girlfriend. He is the lucky one.
"Here you go, handsome."
Alya entered the room, interrupting his thought process, and he turned to her.
"Chocolate truffles and almond milk. I thought we need snacks to refresh our creative minds,"
she explained, handing him a glass and setting the plate on the desk.
Thanks, babe,
he said as he sipped the drink and scrolled through his computer.
"It's nice that it's just us, you know?"
she continued, giving a gentle squeeze to his shoulder before sitting beside him. He glanced up at her.
What, you need a break from our lovebirds?
He mused.
"I'm beginning to think their case is hopeless as long as we're involved. So I figured if we leave them be, they might figure it out by themselves."
She shrugged. Nino rotated in his chair to face her.
You know Adrien is super dense, babe, and completely oblivious to Marinette's feelings for him.
He chuckled at his friend's naive thinking.
Maybe if he knew how she felt, he'd come around, you know?
Her eyebrows shot up in the air in a disapproving manner.
"Don't you even think of telling him, Nino. You promised me that."
Alya retorted.
Okay, I won't.
He interrupted her and placed a reassuring hand over hers.
I will keep my word, babe. But I'm just saying, even you and I needed a little help. And look where we are now.
Her slight gasp, followed by a suave smile, told him she was pleased that he turned the subject to them, and he leaned in to press his forehead against hers for a lingering moment. When they pulled away, she was still smiling up at him, and the glint in her captivating eyes gave away that she was up to mischief. Pulling the hat off his head and placing it atop her own, her smile was replaced with rippling laughter at his hat hair, and she stood on her toes to ruffle her fingers through it. He enjoyed the feeling for a second before he tilted his head and swooned up at her, capturing her gaze and enwrapped her waist with his free arm. She hesitated before leaning down towards him, and he answered her body language by freeing his other arm from the computer mouse and pulling her whole waist in a firm embrace. Glad that it was dark, his face burned and he scolded himself for feeling so flustered. She was his girlfriend after all, and he should be comfortable with this, right? He just needed to calm down. He had this. Just breathe. She lowered herself to balance on his knee.
Babe?
He asked.
Yes?
She whispered back.
I know we're together and everything, but I never really asked you,
He trailed off, his cheeks still burning.
Asked me what?
She closed more distance between them.
If you'd officially be my girl.
He said in a hushed tone. She laughed lightly and lifted his chin.
How is that even a question? I thought it was implied.
Well, it matters to me.
He shrugged, feeling slightly embarrassed. By this time, her forehead was against his again, and he could feel the heat from her breath. He half expected some sort of snarky comeback, but she just stayed there, frozen. The silence between them lingered, like an everlasting eternity, until Nino swallowed and got the courage to speak up.
Babe, sorry, I didn't mean to be weird.
He was starting to tense up a bit now, and he knew she sensed it, and he was afraid he'd stupidly ruin the moment.
Yes, Nino, I'd love to officially be your girlfriend.
She spoke into his ear. He responded by pushing her hair out of her eyes, and in doing so, felt that her cheeks were also hot, and his sigh that followed was both from relief and happiness. He cupped her chin and lifted her gaze to his once again, pressing his lips on hers for a bit longer than was normal for them. And as he pulled away, he started chuckling. She looked at him a little confused. She snorted and stood up.
It feels like we practically babysit them sometimes, but I still love them both.
She returned to her chair and snagged a chocolate turtle.
All right, Romeo, enough distractions. What music are we playing for this party?
Alya turned back around, seeing Nino smiling at her as he put his hat back on and kneeled down to his computer, stealing the chocolate turtle out of her hand and popping it into his mouth with a smile. Alya laughed and shoved him slightly while seeing him starting to look up songs. Nino and Alya placed an earpiece in each other's ears, and after a while, they had a huge playlist of a bunch of songs to dance to.
What do you think, babe? Sick, right?
He said, crossing his arms confidently.
Do you think everyone is going to be dancing around the whole time, Nino? What about our lovebirds? Why not put some slow dances in for them as well as us?
Alya smirked, nudging him over so she could get a hold of the keyboard herself. She placed her fingers on the keyboard and immediately started adding songs to the playlist that encouraged slower dances, glancing over at Nino with a sly smile.
All right, you got me. That was a pretty good idea.
He laughed.
Oh, you added the same song as the one they danced to at the birthday party.
Yup, I sure did.
Alya smirked. Wow, she would do anything for her friends. She would go out of her way for anyone. For Adrien, for Marinette, for him, her family. He said this before, but oh my gosh, he was so lucky to have her.
You're so awesome, babe. They have no idea how much you do for them.
He smiled.
What we do for them?
She interrupted him.
Though it doesn't help. They still are as dense as ever.
They both laughed. After a while of adding song after song, the sun had gone down, and before they knew it, the moonlight was shining through the window, creating an almost spotlight effect in the room. Nino unhooked his setup and placed it on her bed. Alya watched Nino, a little confused, and followed him to the bed, thinking they were going to sit down on the bed to continue, and sat down. He turned the volume up and put on one of the slow songs Alya had put on the playlist and took hold of her hand. Nino took his hat off once again and placed it beside the computer and gently pulled Alya off of the bed toward him, seeing her face surprised and her beginning to grin. He interlaced his fingers with hers and twirled her around in her bedroom in the moonlight as the music played softly in the background.
What are you doing?
She whispered with a slight laugh.
Don't we have to test out the music? That's what good DJs have to do.
He smiled, pulling her toward him.
We create the romantic atmosphere, and we should be the first to test it, right?
Mind explaining yourself, love?
Alya asked in a hushed tone. He guided her across the crowded space as gracefully as it would possibly allow and swung her into a dip. Her mouth flew open in mock shock as he grinned slyly.
Does this explain? The most romantic moments happen whilst dancing, as they say.
He was pleased to see her blush deeply as he pulled her back to a normal position. They danced until they could no longer keep their eyes open, and the last thing Nino remembered before giving in to the sleep monster was the feeling of Alya's head resting against his chest, and the scent of her hair when he removed his glasses and reached over her head to place them atop her nightstand. He could almost taste the sudden rush of panic in the air as he shot upright in the bed and watched the blurry figure pace back and forth in front of the window, talking animatedly with her hands. Reaching blindly for his glasses and trying to make sense of the words coming out of his girlfriend's mouth, Nino slid his legs off of the bed and pulled on his shoes.
I'm sorry, girl. I completely spaced out because I was up so late working on that playlist, but I promise I'll make it up to you. You know I enjoy our coffee Friday morning rendezvous just as much as you.
Alya sounded extremely apologetic, and Nino knew it was Marinette she was speaking to, only for the reason that his girlfriend had the volume on her phone loud enough that he recognized Marinette's voice. He instantly felt guilty for being the cause of his girlfriend missing her appointment with Marinette, and could do nothing about it except sit there. He tuned into Marinette's voice that he could hear through the phone speaker.
Alya, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I'll just meet you in front of the school, okay? I can't wait to hear the playlist. If you were up that late, then it must be good. Also, you must be on your way. I'll see you in a few minutes, right?
Marinette inquired. Alya pulled her phone away from her ear to look at the time and went into an instant flurry.
No, I'm not even out of the house yet.
Alya, it's okay. Don't worry. Today's the last day of school and you have good attendance. If you're a few minutes late, Miss Boosty won't mind. I'll head inside with Nino and Adrien. Just take your time.
He could hear Marinette reassure her. Alya threw a glance at Nino, and he could tell she was thinking of what to say before Marinette continued.
Oh, Nino isn't here either. Hang on a sec.
Nino began gathering his things, reached for his phone and noticed it was dead, so he retrieved his mobile charger from his computer bag and headed towards the door. Alya snagged a jacket and slung her bag over her shoulders as well, hitting the light switch as they exited the room.
Alya, are you still there?
Nino could hear Marinette ask as they made their way out of the house.
Yeah, girl, I'm on my way right now.
Have you heard from Nino? All the guys say he's not answering his phone.
Marinette asked. Nino looked down at his phone and restarted it. It came to life and he was pleased it was already at 15% charged.
Yeah, he's with me, girl. We're on our way.
Alya answered, pressing the crosswalk sign to cross Main Street.
Wait, has he been with you since last night? Alya! Or did he just come to pick you up?
Alya made no eye contact with Nino and quickly turned the volume down on her phone.
We're almost there. See you soon,
she said, avoiding Marinette's question. Flying around the final corner into the classroom, Nino witnessed his girlfriend colliding into none other than the one and only blonde brat, as he often heard Alya refer to her. Much to everyone's surprise, Chloe responded in a most shocking manner.
Oh, it's you, just the talented individual I've been looking for.
Alya's mouth was open as far as it could possibly go.
Excuse me?
Chloe had done an immaculate job of either bashing Alya every time or gossiping about her to the entire class.
Well, don't look so shocked. I'm allowed to compliment a writer, aren't I?
Chloe scoffed at her. Nino could tell Alya was keeping her guard up, but could he blame her after the whole Miracle Queen battle?
What do you want, Chloe?
Alya spit out between tight lips. Chloe was notorious for faking niceness to manipulate others.
Well, I don't know why you have a bug on your butt, but all I want to do is have a friendly chat about potentially doing an interview for the Ladybug. A little birdie told me that the Queen Bee is interested in regaining the trust of Paris, and what better way of doing that with a well-known, well-written, and very detailed blog by your very own classmate.
Nino sensed hints of sarcasm, but knew better than to mention anything about it because Chloe probably thought she was being genuine, even though everyone else thought otherwise.
Let's talk about it tonight. We have class now, Chloe.
Alya muttered, brushing past her as she caught Miss Bustier entering the room out of the corner of her eye, and pulled Nino along with her to their seats. The school bell rang, and Nino noticed Marinette pull Alya aside, likely questioning her on what he overheard earlier, and watched her composure waver and felt his own cheeks heat as he thought about the previous evening and the accidental sleepover. He still couldn't believe she allowed him to stay there. As nice as it had been, he knew it would be out of line to try it again anytime soon. For a few years at least. Someday, he hoped they'd have a place of their own, and then...
Hey man, you good? You seem tired today.
Adrien interrupted his thoughts, and he grinned at his friend's concerned expression.
Yeah, dude. I'm all good. And yeah, I'm a bit sleepy because I stayed up so late working on the playlist for tonight.
Nino responded as they headed down the stairs together.
Oh, right. I heard you worked pretty hard on that. Did you at least get some help? I wish I could have been a part of it, but you know how my father is. He wouldn't let me skip fencing.
Adrien sighed and looked very guilty.
No, that's okay, my dude. Alya helped me with it last night, and it all came together nicely.
Nino felt empathy for his bud and tried to reassure him.
Well, I'm glad you had help. How long did you guys spend on it anyways?
Adrien questioned.
Oh, a good chunk of the evening, and pretty late into the night.
Nino shrugged off how hard he'd worked and hoped Adrien wouldn't call him out on it.
That's dedication for sure,
was his reply. For once, Nino was glad his friend was fairly dense because he could only guess that Marinette was interrogating Alya about the evening spent making the playlist. Nino wondered if Adrien suspected Nino was keeping details from him and chose to say nothing about it because Adrien was the type of friend to let others tell secrets on their own terms without pressuring them. They chatted for a few minutes about the party, and then Adrien's ride arrived, and Nino waved goodbye to his friend. Before they knew it, they were all gathered at Adrien's house for the party. The music melded all the elements of the evening together, and Alya seemed pleased that their scheme to stick in the song for Marinette and Adrien caught both of their attention, and even though Marinette fumbled around like she normally did, Adrien still asked her to dance. Nino was happy for his friends, but even happier that his girlfriend seemed so enthused about the setup. Later in the evening, and well into the party that seemed to be going so smoothly, Chloe appeared to bombard Alya again with nonsense regarding the Ladybug.
So, about that interview with the Queen Bee and the Ladybug, because I can make that happen.
Chloe smirked.
Sure. I would love to, but as you can see right now, I'm about to slow dance with my boyfriend. Why not talk about this another time?
Alya smiled, grabbing Nino's arm and guiding them both away from Chloe. Chloe sneered as she watched Alya and Nino rush to join the dancing silhouettes. She turned around and stormed off with a huff until someone caught her attention. Her once frustrated expression now transitioned into a smirk as she rushed over to the boy.
Oh, hey Max!
Chloe said, as innocent as she could. Max turned to face her, Robustus floating beside him as they were pouring a drink in a glass.
Oh, hi, Chloe. Are you enjoying the party?
He smiled.
I was, until I got stuck doing a favor for Ayla. She got locked out of her dumb Ladybug account and asked me to get a hold of some of my daddy's high-tech employees to get it unlocked for her. I have to leave the party to deal with it. So ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous.
Chloe whined, trying to be dramatic. Max looked over at Robustus and then back to Chloe.
Well, Chloe, Is there anything we can help you with so you don't have to leave and miss the party?
He offered with a soft smile. Chloe smiled, thinking her devilish plan was working like a charm.
Oh, of course. Here, use my phone. She just wanted me to give her a new password.
Chloe said, filing her nails as if she didn't care. Max looked at Chloe and then to Alya, thinking it was a bit strange that Alya would get locked out of something so important.
Are you sure Alya was locked out? Why can't she use her own phone?
Max asked.
Are you calling me a liar? Fine. I'll just take it to my father and get him to do it since you won't help me.
Chloe glared.
No, it's alright. I'm sorry, Chloe. I'll help you.
Max apologized, taking Chloe's phone and doing as she asked. A few minutes later, Chloe was logged into the Lady blog. Max smiled and handed her the phone, seeing how happy Chloe was after he was done.
Tell Alya that she can now reset the password to anything she wishes. Tell her to remember her password this time.
Max laughed.
Yeah, whatever.
Chloe said, walking away from him as she typed on her phone the new password to the Lady blog. Catching a glimpse of the dance floor as she glanced up, Chloe's anger returned as she briefly observed Alya.
She gets everything, fame, and happiness. Why would she be so selfish as to withhold that from me?
Chloe thought. The longer she stared, the more irritated Chloe became. How could everyone be so happy when the world seems all so wrong?
Look at the perfect model boy who could choose anyone and he picked Dupain Chain, who doesn't even deserve him.
She fumed in her mind. Before her anger turned into something rash, Chloe hit save on the password before she changed her mind. Then she found Sabrina and told her to keep a lookout because now it was time for some snooping. Alya would pay for putting off the interview for so long. She's had so many chances, and yet she never did a single one. As Alya and Nino were slow dancing in the center of the lights on the dance floor, Alya felt the vibration of her phone in her back pocket and grabbed her cell phone. She pulled it out and saw that a notification that said that a sign-in to the Lady blog was activated elsewhere, and the password was changed. Alya's eyes widened, and she quickly ran off of the dance floor, leaving Nino to wonder what had happened. She ran to the side where no one was and quickly tried to log into her blog, but kept seeing an error on her screen that kept repeating, "Incorrect password, please try again." Alya sat down on a bench and buried her face in her hands as Nina ran to her side, wondering why she had left him in the middle of the dance and now was about in tears.
Whoa. What's the matter, babe?
He asked, sitting down beside her, putting his hand on her shoulder.
I got a message saying my Ladybug's password was changed and I can't get into it. It's been hacked.
Alya cried.
Huh? Can I see, babe?
Nino slid his arm around her shoulders as she surrendered the device to his hands.
Please, you try. Maybe it's just my bad luck.
Alya whimpered, accepting the offered comfort by burying her face into his shoulder. After attempting the password a few more times and realizing his girl would be inconsolable unless further action was taken, Nino pulled away from her and made his way across the room to the only person he trusted to handle such a delicate situation.
Hey, dude. Can I have a word?
Nino asked his friend.
Sure, man. What's the problem?
Max quizzed. Nino attempted to explain the sticky situation, and Max's expression fell from jolly interest to surprise, and then concern in a matter of minutes.
Well now, this is the second time I've been approached about helping with the technology issue tonight. However, I can't help but to be shocked at the irony that is regarding the same issue of locked passwords, especially considering that it was Alya who locked herself out twice now.
Max struggled to explain and keep himself from becoming confused simultaneously.
Twice? What do you mean, dude? Alya hasn't been locked out from her account until now.
Nino explained. Max looked at Nino and then to Alya, seeing the worry overwhelming her. He didn't want to assume Chloe was lying to him, but after what Nino had said, he should probably tell them what occurred.
Well, Chloe did come to see me about Alya's account that was locked out earlier this evening.
Chloe? Chloe's behind this?
Alya asked, walking up to Nino.
It seems so, yes. She came to me about an issue with you getting locked out of your account, and I helped access it, of course.
Max explained.
That brat!
Alya glared, just thinking about her.
It's all right, babe. We will get your account back. Right, Max?
Nino smiled.
Indeed, there's a 96.7% chance of success.
Max smiled, causing Alya to smile back. They all three walked over somewhere more quiet, avoiding the eyes of the dancing students who were enjoying their dance party, and started working on getting access back to her account. After a few minutes of unsuccessful attempts, Alya groaned and looked around and saw Sabrina and smirked, pulling Nino toward her.
This is taking too long. Why don't we do something about it ourselves? While Max does the tech part?
Alya smiled.
What do you have in mind?
He asked. Alya smiled and took his arm in his and started walking towards Sabrina, and once she saw them coming to her, immediately started to get visibly nervous.
Oh, hello Sabrina. Are you enjoying the party?
Alya smiled.
Oh, yes, of course, Alya. What about you too?
Sabrina smiled anxiously.
We are, though it is a little dull. I'm surprised I haven't seen Chloe around lately. Have you seen her?
Alya smiled.
Chloe? No. I think she stayed at home. She didn't want to come to a lame party like these.
Sabrina said, her eyes darting behind her as if she were keeping an eye on something.
Oh, well, I was going to say Adrien was wanting to slow dance with her. I guess I'll go get Marinette instead.
Alya said, a little louder.
Adrien?
Chloe said, jumping out from the door. It seemed that Sabrina was keeping watch while Chloe was doing some digging on her blog. Though Sabrina's nervous habits couldn't get past Alya, Adrien heard his name being called not too far away from him, and turned to see where it was being called, and saw Alya, Chloe, Nino, and Sabrina off toward his house's front door. He walked closer to it, but didn't interfere, though ready to step in if needed, seeing they were having a serious conversation.
So, Chloe, mind explaining this?
Alya held up her phone, lit with the homepage for the Ladybug showing an error. Chloe went silent, unsure how to respond, but then rolled her eyes and tried to play it off as if she had no idea what she was talking about.
What are you talking about?
She sneered, looking over at Sabrina to have her back.
Yeah, Alya. What are you accusing Chloe of?
Alya stole a glance at Nino and raised her eyebrows at the girls.
Don't pretend with me, Chloe Bourgeois. You know very well what I'm talking about, and this is a whole new level for even you. And the fact that you had to drag your drama into a perfectly happy setting is very ridiculous.
Adrien saw how heated Alya and Chloe's conversation was becoming and decided to step in. He rushed to their side and saw Nino's nervous face, unsure how to properly intervene in the situation, and stood by Chloe's side. He put his hands on Chloe's shoulder to get their attention.
Hey, what's going on? Why are you two arguing?
He asked, noticing that they were about to start getting heated.
She kept ignoring me and wouldn't give me the interview, Adrikins.
Chloe whined.
This brat stole my Ladybug. She unnecessarily dragged Max into it too. She convinced him to steal the Ladybug from me.
Before he knew it, Chloe and Ollie were back in each other's faces again, glaring at one another.
Calm down, both of you. Chloe, you know the Ladybug belongs to Alya. It isn't right that you took that from her.
He started, seeing Chloe look at him as she clenched her phone.
Come on, babe. You should have at least given her a chance for an interview. She was a superhero, and what harm could it have done?
He asked, seeing Alya turn to look at him as well. Both of the girls were hesitant about apologizing to one another.
Come on, babe. You know Chloe. She just wanted to feel included. She just felt left out.
Nino explained, trying to get the arguing to stop, and saw Alya finally cave. Alya turned away from Nino and turned to Chloe.
Sorry I didn't give you an answer about the blog. We were stressing about the party tonight. Next time you're Queen Bee, come find me for an interview, for sure.
Alya tried to put on her best smile. Chloe was skeptical of her apology and looked to Adrien, who nudged her along with a soft smile.
Ugh, fine. I'm sorry too.
She spat.
For?
Adrien encouraged.
For, taking the Ladybug from you?
Chloe questioned.
And?
Adrien continued.
And,
She thought.
getting Max to change the password.
She crossed her arms.
Thank you, Chloe. I'll be taking that password back, by the way.
Alya smiled. Chloe was about to start another argument, but bit her tongue as she saw Adrien watching from the side and groaned, giving in and giving Alya the password.
You're so mature, Chloe.
Sabrina smiled.
Whatever.
Chloe rolled her eyes, pushing past them to leave. Adrien, Nino, and Alya watched as Chloe left and Sabrina followed close behind her. Adrien turned to look at Alya and Nino.
Sorry for Chloe. She just really looks up to Ladybug and idolizes her. She wants to be like her. What way to be like her idol than to be on the world's most famous blog?
Adrien smiled before taking his leave. Alya breathed a sigh of relief and reset the password to the blog. She smiled up at Nino as she closed her phone.
Well, that was interesting,
she said, shaking her head.
You handled it pretty well, I'd say, babe.
He smiled back at her, giving a light squeeze to her shoulder, and he motioned back towards the refreshments table. She nodded and they headed in that direction when they heard a faint sound of a familiar tune. The last one on the playlist, to be exact. They knew that because it was the same song they danced to in the bedroom that night in the moonlight. Nino promptly pulled the hat off of his head and set it on the table they were standing next to and ruffled his hair. He then extended his hand in complete confidence, not caring what anyone else thought in the moment. Because with that song playing, there was only one thing on his mind. His girl. His girl, who stood blushing in front of him and accepted his hand, moving beside him back to their spot on the dance floor. Everything else faded away, and it was as though it was just the two of them there, and no one else in the world. He pulled her into him as they slow danced to the beat and leaned toward her ear.
I love you, babe.
He gushed.
And I love you,
she replied. The love and music in the air was all they needed to refresh and revive from such a chaotic world in their beloved Paris. Thank you so much for watching. Again, a huge shout out to M for collaborating with me and making this amazing one-shot. Thank you to everyone who took part in the voice acting, and a huge shout out to the artist Hchano. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys!